Hello everyone, here I am back again and we'll start with the value education class. And you all know that we have already started the class. In the previous video we have started the first chapter of your value education book, that is Remembering God. Okay, and that day I told you that in this class I will tell you a story related to the topic. Okay, now for your convenience, I will tell the story to you relating to the previous knowledge. So what have we learned in the previous class? So I'm discussing it again. So in the previous class, we have learned that in order to remember God, how do we remember God? We remember God by praying to Him. Okay, we pray to God in order to remember Him. And we have come to know that God is everywhere. Okay, God is everywhere, though we cannot see Him. Okay, He is within you, He is within me. He is everywhere. He is watching us. We may call God by different name, isn't it? Some of us call God by the name Ishwar, some call God Vaheguru, some call God as Allah, but He is only one. Fine. This is what we have learned in the previous class. So let me start with the story that God watches us related to the topic. You take out your book at page number 6. Okay. So you can read with me also. See, the name of the story is God watches us, as He is everywhere, as you know. Okay. Now the story begins like this. Once upon a time there lived a poor farmer named Bhikkhu. So once upon a time means long back, there was a poor farmer whose name was Bhikkhu. He had a 7-year-old son whose name was Shibu. So he had a 7-year-old son and the name of the son was Shibu. Bhikkhu was an honest man. He used to tell Shibu many stories about God. Bhikkhu was very honest. He was an honest man. So, and he used to tell a lot of stories about God to his son Shibu. So one day when he was narrating a story to Shibu, he said that, Shibu, my son, remember one thing, God is everywhere. So as Bhikkhu was a very honest man, and he taught his son that God is everywhere. And this thing you always remember in your life. So Shibu looked around in surprise. He was a little child like you. So he was surprised to hear that God is everywhere. Then he asked his father that, but father, where is He? I can't see Him. Okay, he has a question in his mind that he cannot see God. So he asked his father, where is God? He looked all around, okay, and said, I cannot see God. And then Bhikkhu replied, son, we cannot see Him, but He can see us, and He can see us, He can also hear us. Okay, whatever we do, He watches us, and He can also hear us. Shibu kept his father's words in mind, and the little child always kept his father's words in his mind. After a few days, Bhikkhu died. Then after a few days, unfortunately, the father died. Shibu was left alone. Then there was no one to look after Shibu. So Shibu, he went to live with his uncle Prem. What was his uncle's name? Prem. Prem was Shibu's uncle, and after the death of his father, he went to his uncle to live with. Okay. Then Shibu started working in a rich man's house. So to earn his livelihood, Shibu, he started working in a very rich man's house. Prem, who was Shibu's uncle, was a greedy and a dishonest man. Prem was very greedy and he was very dishonest also. One day he said to Shibu, "You can steal valuable things from the house when nobody is around." Then one day he told Shibu that as you are working in a very rich man's house, you can steal some valuable things from the house when nobody is there. Okay. Then Shibu replied nothing. The next day, Prem waited for Shibu to come. Okay, he thought that Shibu will bring all the valuable things. When Shibu came home, Prem asked Shibu, "Have you stolen something?" Shibu replied, "No." And he added, "Somebody was watching me." So the next day, Shibu came without anything. And the next day also, when he came back to his house, then he came empty-handed. He brought nothing with him. Then again, when his uncle inquired, he said to his uncle the same thing, that "No, I have not brought anything because somebody was watching me." Then the uncle got very irritated. Okay, this continued for many days, and every day Shibu came home without anything and gave the same answer to the uncle, who was very greedy. Fine. Then one day the uncle, means Prem, got irritated and said, "Who watches you all the time?" Then the uncle questioned him, that who watches you all the time? Every day you are coming with the same answer, that somebody is watching me. Who is that? Then at once Shibu replied that God, he always watches me and I cannot hide anything from him. Then spontaneously Shibu answered that God watches me, and as I cannot hide anything from him, I am unable to bring anything from the rich man's house. Hearing this from the small child, hearing this from Shibu, Prem felt ashamed of himself. Prem, his uncle who was greedy and dishonest, he was ashamed. He felt ashamed of his doing, of himself. Then he learned from the little boy and never asked him to steal anything. And he has learned a lesson from the little boy, and never ever he asked Shibu to steal anything from anywhere. Okay, this is the lesson that the uncle got from the small boy, who has got a lesson from his father, that God watches us always. God always watches us, though we cannot see God. So, here we have come to the end of the chapter. And children, now can you tell me what is the moral of the story? Let me tell you the moral of the story. The moral of the story is God is everywhere. And in our next class, we will do the exercises given at the back of the chapter. Thank you, children.